It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
3 minutes past 9 o'clock, the 5th of January 2019. Good morning. Welcome to the Big Seats on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. My name is Wesige Banyaji, and I want to welcome you first to the new year and to the first Big Seat in the year 2019. Welcome. I'm joined by two gentlemen in studio, the usual panelists on the show, on the Big Seats. John Turinawe, who is a political analyst and a firm member of the National Resistance Movement, and Geoffrey Rurekyera, a journalist, a political analyst on the Big Seats, and the CEO of the Mbara Sun. Good morning, Geoffrey.
Good morning, Westgate.
Yes.
Good morning, my friend John, and our esteemed listeners out there. Starting from studio, I want to wish you a belated Happy New Year.
Okay.
And of course, our listeners, since this is the first show of the year, we want to wish them a successful 2019. And we pray that their plans may come to yield success.
Okay. Good morning, John Turinawe. Happy New Year.
Good morning. These things, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. What only changed was the calendar. That the other one was 2019. I mean 18, this is 2019. There is absolutely nothing new about 2019. I don't want you, a certain listener or any person out there, to get so much excited about New Year, and it becomes.
It's not creating the excitement for a new year.
Some people make
but
a new
congratulating yourself
greeting,
on passing through the whole year.
A new greeting. No, there is no problem with that. What I'm saying is, there is this thing I hear, new resolutions. Well, the last ones you made were half of them were not resolved, and we are talking of new resolutions. What I want you to do is, if you had because what is changing, Banyaji, if you had a job you had the last year, it's the same job you are having. The house you are living in is the same house you are living in.
No, but
the same CEO of Mbara Sun here is the CEO. Is not. So what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to do is,
let's first listen to you.
Yes, me, I get so much excited about the new financial year because there is so much it brings than the previous financial year, other than just a new calendar year. Why? Because when it comes to 1st July, there are things that change. Like this July, you are not paying social media tax, you are not paying mobile money tax, you are not. But this happened. So this, you can see that this is some change. But because I was in December 2018 and 6 hours, I'm in now January 2019, and you think everything is going to change. To me, I think some people should wake out of this fallacy and face the reality that there is nothing changing. What you have to do is work hard. Especially there is this talk of you see, this is January, but what's wrong with January? After all, in December you knew that January was coming. Everybody you see in the town is January, even to be young, but we are young. You in December last year, you knew that January is going to come, and you knew that either you have a salary at the end of the month. If you spent all your salary, and actually some of the people went for overdraft that they requested for their January salary and advance something that they requested for their January salary in December, and this is madness. So me, I am not excited about the new year. What I'm looking forward to is making sure we continue recruiting in the NRM, and we are bringing new changes, especially to our primaries. We want primaries by lining up. I've written an article. I think it will be published next week in the New Vision about the changes I want in our primaries, because the reason we've had.
But then would that be progress in any case, if at all you're talking about lining up in primaries?
Well, my argument.
No, listen. When the law says constitutionally with regard to the national elections, that they will always be held by secret ballots.
Yeah,
and then with the growth and try to develop our democratic practices in regard to holding the elections. If at all you're taking us back,
you see,
to lining up, I think it's not the best. Even looking at
this
the
is
numbers,
my
NRM is a mass party.
This
like
is my
we all
opinion.
know. If you have a village or a constituent that will have tens and tens of thousands of people, and you're letting them line behind an individual, I think it's going to cause quite a lot in terms of animosity and resentment over the kind of leaders that will, for example, not be able to make it and able to recognize who didn't vote for them.
If you were critical enough in as far as statistics of last year's election were concerned,
yes,
every elective position in Uganda had an average of 5 candidates. Out of the 5 candidates, around 3 to 4 were belonging to the NRM. Others coming independent, having participated in our primaries, complaining of so many irregularities, including ballot stuffing and multiple voting, and therefore they came independent. That's the reason why we have more independent members of parliament, for instance, more compared to all political party members of parliament in that 10th parliament. So for us, that is very dangerous. So what we are saying is, how can we remove the issue of ballot stuffing and multiple voting? Because it is not a simple thing. But so we are saying one of the easiest, because we tried it in LOC elections, it was very, very efficient. It gave very, very good results. So it also has its
security threat that this poses to the people.
There is no problem. We came here and discussed about LOC1 elections and the security we're talking about. You see, my mother is supporting Rurekyera, then my mother is supporting the other one, my wife. But all these things do not show up in
there are people who died in that.
No problem. Are you saying in a secret ballot people don't die? So whatever the challenges are there in lining up, same challenges could even arise in a secret ballot. But what this election helps us is by far more efficient than, and this is my view. I'm proposing this view to search. I'm writing also a letter to the president, the chairman of the party, to see how they can adopt that. And in that same proposal, I'm also suggesting that whoever contests in primaries, because that one actually will be an amendment to the Parliamentary Elections Act and Local Government Act, that whoever intends to stand as an independent should have not participated in any political party primary, or should not have belonged to any political party for the last 6 months. And that is to save politicians who come in primaries, in FDC primaries, they lose a flag to an FDC person, and then they come as independent. So I'm saying whoever participates in primaries should not contest as independent.
Thank you. Geoffrey, he's made his remarks very clearly. I think he's focusing more on developing his party. Though I'm very, disturbed by the suggestion that he's coming up with how we shall have all these number of people lining up with the contestants in the races. But I am made to understand that the Democratic Republic of Congo had an election on Sunday eventually, and without the incumbents, President Joseph Kabila, and we had Ramadan El Shaddai, Shadari, and we had Fayo. We had quite a number, about 21 contesting in that election. The Catholic Church came out over the weekend and said that come what may, they will want to stand by a free and fair, credible election, and so that peace is restored in the Congo. How far do you know about the election so far?
Well, thank you so much, Manjat. But maybe allow me, before I delve into what is happening in Congo,
yes,
I first allay the fears of our listeners, because John seems to want to return to pessimism. When you hear what John said here, he said he's not excited about the start of the year, but rather the start of the financial year. And in my view, the start of the year predetermines how the financial year is going to be. Because if the government in the first place must increase the tax base, it depends on the economic activity that is happening in the country. And that has something to do with people setting resolutions as the year begins. Okay. Fine, we might have remained in the same house like you said, but we might choose to upgrade or facelift that house. If I was running a business of 2 million in 2018, my target could be that in 2019...
Where are you going to get it now?
I set resolutions, and you see, you don't need money, you need ideas. And it is the ideas that are going to give you the avenues through which you are going to get that money. So the listeners should not be boxed into pessimism. Going on to what is happening in Congo, apparently we are expecting partial results, not the final results. But the Electoral Commission in Congo says that the partial results might be out on 6th, which I think is Sunday. But still there are fears that might delay. And in fact, the biggest worry now in Congo is that, you see, you talked about the Catholic Church. And I believe that the Catholic Church is very influential in Congo. And it has raised a lot of concerns now in Congo. Tension is high because yesterday, the Catholic Church came out and said they already know who actually won the election. Although they did not disclose the name, they said they know who won the election, and they called on the Electoral Commission to ensure that people's voice is respected.
To declare who has won.
Now, the challenge is, the Electoral Commission has not declared who the winner is, but the Catholic Church comes out and says, we know the winner. And doing that, of course, the government is saying that's very treacherous, considering that it is going to raise a lot of tension and it may jeopardize the peace in this process. So, there is a lot of contention, and the United Nations Security Council yesterday, I think, I haven't known the outcome, but they were meeting specifically to talk about Congo and the possible outcome of that election.
Okay. Dear listeners, we're going to take a very short commercial break. When we come back, we are going to be talking about two aspects. Very importantly, we had the president address the nation about the new year and the expectation therein. And we are having a fight between what the opposition interprets as regards to the law and the authority and the stamp of the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga. So we are going to be talking about the COSASE Committee, what is now known as the Continental Committee, whether they should continue with the investigation and probably the Bank of Uganda, or transit and allow a new team to take over and start from where the Continental Committee has left the job. We're going to come back after these messages. Good morning.
It's tough, it's bold,
John,
it's real.
the new year is
politics.
not important.
The big seat.
Why did your president give New Year's
Great music,
speech?
great music, great friends.
If it is not important.
He was on competition with Morocco.
Which competition? He was playing.
Your microphone, there is where sounds better.
Okay.
If I can ask, what did he say he's going to do in the new year?
He was saying
He was scaring Bobby Wine.
He was only scaring.
no,
That in 2019 I'll do this and this.
the priorities for government. He mentioned 9 of them.
Government priorities are done in a financial year, not in a calendar year. There are things we started in 2018 that are going to
Yeah, but still it is accountability of what has been achieved in a space of a year and what the government looks set to do in the following year.
Seven also what Rebecca could say. Seven also wants showbiz. Rebecca could say for him he's a person of showbiz. Rebecca could on front line.
What did he say?
That me I'm a man of showbiz. Now, even the president is a man of showbiz. How do you say everybody should
I want you to say all that stuff on the air.
No, but how do you showbiz business? How do you say everybody should listen to you?
It's bold.
How do you say everybody should listen to you? Who are you?
No, because he knows his speeches are not popular.
I dare you to say
Everybody must listen to me.
And he said,
welcome back from that very short commercial break. It's 17 minutes past 9 o'clock. Still Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends, Wesige Banyaji is the voice on your radio. I have Geoffrey Rurekyera. He's the CEO of the Mbara Sun, and John Turinawe, a political analyst. As we were in that break, John categorically said,
That what did I say?
That
is off the record.
I heard this only
Well, he seems timid about what his opinion was. But anyway, we had the president address the country where all media houses were instructed to air this. And there is a particular method that I want to pick out on what the president said. Of the youth, he sounded very optimistic that the future is so bright for the youth. Already, there has been work that government has done to help the youth. And I think he also hinted on politics of provide a message that he will not be tolerating this year. So very usual of His Excellency the President, though the opposition still came out and said now with the kind of tone the President had and the message, it downplays the intentions of the iPod, because he still talks about crashing and dealing with dissenting voices. John, what was your expectation of that speech?
The president did not talk about dissenting voices. The president already said he talked about politics of indiscipline. Constitutionalism, you have one leg. You have one leg in constitutionalism. You have another in other issues. He talked about
but that's another debate for how do you divide an individual that one has one part in the politics and has another part in any other business that
he did not talk about the business. No, listen, I understood the president. He was talking about politics of indiscipline. What was he talking about? You are a chairman LC5, therefore you are in government constitutionally. But at the same time, he did not give that example, but I'm helping the listener.
Yes.
At the same time, you who is chairman LC5, at the same time, you are known, intelligence has information that you are recruiting rebels, for instance. So that is the unconstitutional. I may not go into the details of what he actually meant, because some of it was not meant for everybody, but he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah,
he was saying
context of what
he was saying you have one leg in constitutional politics, you have another in another. On the youth, he talked about frugal spending. He said, as a former youth, there are things we must do rightly.
I think the president is,
and he was, and to me, I think he was right about that. He talked about frugality, and you can bear with me, you can agree with me and him that when you move around all happening places, it is almost the youth who are there. It is not good and bad to happen anyway, but there are those that happen beyond. If you
there is need to strike a balance.
Yeah, there is need to balance. If you saw what was happening during this festive season, you would realize that some people would even go an extra mile of borrowing some money to go to the village and show off. Like my friend Bebe Cool was saying, showbiz, that some people go for showbiz. Someone borrows 2 million and says, I'm going to the village to show off. And to me, that is not correct. And particularly, I think that's what the president was addressing. But his speech was not about crashing, had nothing to contradict on the iPod, because iPod.
No. He was clear on crashing.
The crashing was not talking about
into double standards.
Very good.
Of application and of democracy.
Wonderful. And I don't think iPod supports that either. That there should be double standard. Anyway, if I can ask, how can you say? Because whoever is in a government, whether you are in opposition or as long as you get you are in government, because even a member of parliament is in government, whether you are FDC or DP, you are in government.
Yes.
Now, when you are in government, you are in the legislative arm of government, and you say, for us, my role is kubalemesa. Yet your role as a member of parliament is to legislate, is to appropriate money to do service delivery. And for you are saying yes, whereas those are my roles. Me, I'm saying no. Me, my role is after appropriating money to do government services to the people, you again turn back. You the same person in the government, and say, but we shall call Balemesa now. But you are the same man yesterday who approved the budget of 32 trillion to do this business. Why are you calling Balemesa again? This is the unconstitutionalism he was talking about.
But John, let me put it to you. When is it to Balemesa? When someone comes out clearly and states in your opposition of some of the policies of government vis-a-vis the investment that could be done in a particular sector. That is no doubt. But you see, people in the opposition are only having another opinion of the matter. So you cannot say by having a different opinion from what the executive or the ruling party has is simply kubalemesa. If someone says, you see, the allocation on youth is not the expectations of the youth, is that kubalemesa really? If a particular party comes out and says, no, the NRM, this is your stand, but we are differing on your stand,
I have no problem. But yes. You are saying that is not kubalemesa. Yet the opposition people were talking about to launch it. They launched a campaign dubbed Tubalemesa last year.
Okay.
So it is very unfair for you to say for them they have an alternative policy. Anyway, what if you have an alternative policy, for instance, on youth livelihood program, which was launched in 2014, and yesterday the New Vision published districts and how much they've gotten since 2014. Now, for you are saying that is not a good strategy. Yes, first of all, you have given an alternative strategy, which is not bad. But you see, any government that is voted into power has a manifesto. It is not in the interest of a party that was voted on its manifesto to implement your manifesto. Even if your manifesto is the best, they are not going to implement yours because for you have a good idea.
Okay,
now, once I'm implementing my manifesto, which mandate was given to me by the people of Uganda, it is not right for you to say to Balemesa, yet you are the same person in that August house clearing that mandate for you to regulate. That's what the president is saying. It is not fair. It is not constitutional. It is actually illegal. It's criminal.
Thank you. Let me get to you, Geoffrey. Geoffrey, you and I, young people, know very well, we actually owe nothing to government. It's only social service delivery that I think we expect of government. You and I know so well that we only have to broaden our social network. We only have to discover who we are. We only have to put our talent to use. We only have to try and not give up. Because even those that have made it, as youths talk about Chagulani, only discovered his talent, exploited his opportunities, there was no government against that. And then there are a particular group of youths that are only expectants of government being able to bail them out and taking responsibility of knowing that the future is in their hands. I think the president was very clear on the case of indiscipline, on the case on how the behavior of the youths, the flamboyant expenditure, the lifestyle. The president spot on some of these aspects that really need to be changed if the youths really need to take a leap forward.
Well, thank you so much, Manaji. I critically listened to the president, and I want to agree that indeed, going forward in 2019, as the youth, if we must move forward, there are things that we need to change our mindset about. First of all, you see, it's not only about frugality, it's not about having to spend a lot. By the way, sometimes even the youth, we spend what we don't have. Like John said, you don't have money, but because you need to go to the village to show some people that you live in a city, you go and borrow a loan. There are even people who go to banks, they borrow money to go and marry. I mean, it is not a bad thing to marry, but the source of money,
the cost.
Tomorrow, this bank is going to be on your neck. The little land that you have is going to be taken by the bank. At the end of the day, you remain destitute. You don't even have a home. So the president's message, I think, was clear that as the youth, we need to refrain from this unending spending, which is not even productive in the long run.
Okay.
But also, looking at because he also talked about the youth going to church all the time and spending time there instead of going to work. And something that I've seen the church leaders raise eyebrows. But I also agree with that. While it is important to pray, we need to pray as we work.
Yes.
It is important. I mean, church is not a replacement for work. The two can coexist. We need to regulate the time that we go to church and the time we have to go to work. In fact, most of the time, appropriate time for church should be after work. But we have areas in this country where you find people morning to evening, they are in church, they are not earning. So I think that
which is really against the intention of God after all, because you only eat where you work it. So without work, how do you expect to? So this is an attitudinal problem with the youth. They think things will come from heaven, things will come easy. We should make it very clear, even on the big seat, that even with change of government, if any individual is not able to discover who they are and put to use the resources that they display, nothing will really change.
Exactly. You see, there is a wrong mentality in this country, especially by majority youth, that while they are waiting for the government to change, there is a section of the youth who think that when the government finally goes, they are going to get money. I want to assure them, those who are listening to us, that there is no government whatsoever that is going to give you hard cash.
Yes.
There is no government, absolutely. What only happens is that the government puts in place avenues and atmosphere for you to work, thrive, and develop yourself.
Which this NRM government has done ostensibly clear.
And we appreciate that. We can't count that off.
And still on that issue of the church, we are talking about the youth having to go to church, pray because they are waiting to go to heaven. But also I want to attribute it partly to the less fair kind of leadership we have in the country. That the NRM government has brought so much peace. So much so that if you are not interfering with the politics, government has no problem with you. Okay? That's why you will find people at the bars, they take to the bottle as early as 9 a.m. in the morning. People are on pool tables very early in the morning. It's time to work. There are leaders in that locality, by the way. When we talk about government, we are not only looking at the head of state and parliament. Everyone at his own level.
Starting from LC1, yes.
From LC1, even from your family. The family has a head, which is the smallest component of a society. So, but no one bothers. So that is a very big challenge in this country. That less fairness is killing our youth. They think I have the freedom to go to church at whatever time I want. I have the freedom to be at the bar at any time I want. There is no spirit for work. And I want to challenge the government, at least come up with some ordinances. Of course, they vary from one area to the other, that are going to make sure that the youth are brought back in the line of work. It should not stop at the president talking about this. I need to see the leaders in their different localities implementing what the president said in his speech.
Okay, thank you. We are going to take a very short breather. When we come back, we're going to get into our second topic. Good morning.
Past 9 a.m. Your local time check.
New monthly voice bundles.
We have utilized time
100
today.
minutes for only 5,000
Just half past.
shillings, or 250 minutes for only 10,000 shillings for Airtel to Airtel calls. All you have to do is dial *149.
Let me tell you, last year,
to keep the conversation going.
There's a story that made headlines all over the world. In
It's
Rwanda,
bold.
they
It's
crossed
real
700
politics.
churches.
The Big Seat on 91.2
You just
Cruise
go around here,
FM.
you'll see.
Great music,
Great
At this
music.
time,
great friends.
Great friends.
people haven't even gone home.
Welcome back from a very short break there. It's just a 9:30. We halfway the time for the show. If you're just tuning in, we are talking about the president's address for the new year, the message therein, and the expectation as far as government is concerned to social service delivery in this country. And our biggest focus was on the message as far as the youths are concerned. And all we are appealing to the youths out there, no government is going to give you food easily. There's nothing like government is going to give me a job, give me food, take care of my family. The onus is on you to discover what you really want, utilize the resources and the opportunities around you, thrive as long as this opportunity avails itself. And, you know, God is good, but you don't have to spend all your time in church and forget about work. John, we've concluded with that matter, but I want us to touch something that has raised eyebrows for the last, I think, about 2 weeks. That's the Katuntu Committee. We are not going to talk about discussing the personalities as far as who is chairing and who is going to chair is concerned, but I want us to talk about the principle. The principle in terms of upholding the law. What does the law say about change of leadership of any committee?
But the principle, to me, is derived from personalities. If I can tell you, I fear for the speaker. This parliament had a lot of issues since it began. The first session, it was increasing their salaries, it was buying vehicles. Second year, 2017, they are in Tojukwatako and Jikwateko. There was, of course, barrier package. I think the 68 million came in 2016, if I can remember. Now,
there are quite a number of bills they have dealt with and really
very wonderful
delivered.
That people have not talked about.
Yes, that they've not.
So I'm talking about the PR. So this is a parliament whose image has been negative all throughout. Now here comes a committee that is doing some work to maybe cover their image.
That initially you had said it was not necessary after all.
But even now, not initially. I'm saying it is in good interest of covering the image of Parliament. I even the other time I said it. I'm not interested in the image of Parliament.
No, but you
what I'm saying is absolutely even up to now.
Okay.
If first of all, I told you the other time that when the president advised that it should be in camera and they refused. First of all, that was a mess, because after all, that report has to end up at the disposal of the president of the Republic of Uganda, not Museveni now, because some people have issues with Museveni now. Here is my point. The speaker, just like any other person, believes that the changes made by the FDC in the leadership of such a big committee was not worth the work before it. To me, that's what I'm saying. And actually, I can bet that if Abdul Katuntu was being replaced by any other person other than Munyagwa, this rift would not be there. My opinion. Now, what does the law say? First of all, the rules of procedure state it clear that the Speaker of Parliament shall be the custodian of the rules.
And only apply them when they are not clear, when they need interpretation. But this is very clear.
Very good. There is no problem.
Okay.
Even this rule is not clear.
No, it
because there is nowhere. Wait, there is nowhere where it states that there is nowhere that it states about the continuation or the what is it extending. It is not provided for in the rules.
But then that means it is
clear.
that
makes it void.
Very good. Now, in 2014, the Court of Appeal agreed with the Honorable Mama Mbabazi, by then was the Secretary General of the party, and agreed with SECH that SECH was right to suspend 4 members of Parliament. Now, these members appealed to the Supreme Court. Remember, it was a 4-1 judgment, the Court of Appeal. For them, they appealed to the Supreme Court. But even before the Supreme Court gave their judgment, immediately after the Court of Appeal had dismissed them that they should, since you came on party cards, since the party has chased you away, you should no longer be members of Parliament. Now, what happened? The Speaker created for them a space in that parliament. Even before the ruling of the Supreme, yes, we know that the ruling, the Supreme Court came and overturned, and the ruling of the Court of Appeal actually it's based on the minor judge, the one judge. What am I saying? There is nobody who said you have broken the rule, because in that house, the seating arrangement, the order has never changed, and the rules did not change.
The matter, John.
I'm on the same matter, because I'm saying there was no rule of procedure in Parliament that says for you, you are not NRM, because NRM had just them. You are not independents. You are not UPDF. You are not opposition, but you are just there. And nobody complained. Why did they complain? Because some of them, it was in the interest of so many MPs, including those in NRM,
but
because they saw.
When you say they cannot be independent, it seems to sound like independence is a party.
No, very good. No, independence are provided. No, in our rules of procedure.
It is provided within the rules of procedure.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Is it a political party?
No, independents are regarded as opposition in Parliament. They sit on the opposition side. What am I saying?
The sitting really does not matter.
Sitting,
what
oh my
do
God.
they stand for?
When you read about the rules of procedure, when you read about the UK,
we know about the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the speaker is the opposition and the ruling.
You can't say about that. You can't say it does not matter. There is even a law against crisscrossing, even in the UK, that it happened with Churchill, and they made the law against it, that you cannot cross from one side to another.
Okay.
In Uganda here, you remember the crossing of the flow of UPC and the DP, and they actually made the law against it. So what am I saying? I'm saying the FDC, of course, was emotional in this, that they had Mubarak Munyagwa, who bowed down for Amuriat in the presidential elections. You know, he had stood, and because he was a member of parliament, the only member of parliament in that contest, in the FDC party race, and the only person from central Uganda, he could have turned the results of that election. So by him stepping down and supporting Amuriat, of course had to give him something. But to me, I think the speaker has a point. Now, some people are saying, why don't you make it a select committee? There is no record whatsoever that there is a select committee of certain people. Now, once you want to make it a select committee, the maximum can be 9 or 11. Now, a committee of 32 members, what method will the speaker use to select 9 people, 9 members? Now say,
and what is so big that they really need to select a few number of people to investigate this?
No, but
it is any other. It is an investigation in any other auditor reports or auditor general's report.
Now, there is no problem with that. But if you are also honest, what is wrong with a 1 month extension of a committee where you are a member of the party? What is so much about Abdul Katunt, who is a member of the FDC, a senior member of the FDC who has been in that parliament for 4 terms? What is wrong? What wrong has he done? Who was once a shadow attorney general of the FDC? What is it that he has? Which crime has he done now that you must all come and say he must to go unless there is something hidden? Yes, I know that he may not have supported the extremist side of the Messianian group, but that cannot be reason enough to. There is some talk.
No. John,
yes.
I want you to separate the FDC politics from the law. What are the rules of procedure in Parliament?
Let me tell you, there is no rule, whether it is a rule of procedure, whether it is a law, whether it is what, there is nothing that cannot be changed.
Okay, thank you. Geoffrey, you just heard John, but this country is a country of that swears to uphold the Constitution. I think on every individual. That's our patriotism. We need to uphold the rule of law and follow the laws that we set for ourselves. We cannot keep shifting laws for as far as we feel it's comfortable. I think that is impunity to the highest degree. But fast forward, Honorable Katuntu is a very good legislator, a very good lawyer. We've seen the incredible work he has done in that committee. We saw the work that he did on the investigation on the golden handshake. COSASE was almost as quiet, but now it seems to even override the park that was very famous. And now there is a contradiction, the speaker and the chairperson on one side, and we have the opposition and the FDC, the chief whip, on the other side. There is a legal interpretation in the matter. The speaker simply seems to suggest that she will stand her ground and have this her way simply because she's the custodian of the law. help the listener understand the relevancy of first keeping Katundu after all, if you think it is credible, and having to respect the law and have a transition as far as the leadership of this committee is concerned?
Well, thank you so much, Banyaji. I think I am one of the few people, I remember sometime back here on the big seat, who said the problem to the Bank of Uganda is justified. Because indeed something went wrong at the bank and the world must know. Okay?
Yes.
John, I think, doesn't agree with that. But going back to whether it is important to extend the term of, you see, you even call it Katundu, the term of COSASE or not, I want to reason as an ordinary Ugandan. You see, the law is there to guide us, fine. But particularly with this COSASE Bank of Uganda investigation, I want to agree with the speaker.
So what would be the essence of the law? If at all you think if someone is shining so bright, then there is no way you can do against their abilities. Is it the only Katundu? After all, we've not given this gentleman an opportunity. Perhaps he would even do a greater job than Katundu.
You see, Banyaji, even the Bible that all of us read was amended 9,000 times. An indication that the Constitution is not static. Okay, laws are not static.
Then they should
what I am saying is,
yes,
fine, as it stands now, there is no law that guides the speaker to extend the term of parliament. I think the term of the term of the leadership of COSASE. She's only doing it in her position as the speaker, but the rules don't support that. That's why I say.
So are we going to sit back and look at the speaker break the rules?
You see, breaking the rules, it depends on the point of view from which you're doing that. Let us just be ordinary and think about this. If, for example, okay, you are constructing a mansion in Mbarara, and maybe the kind of design you have, you hired an expert, a very good expert not found anywhere, and along the way before the mansion is up and complete, you fall out with this person. Would you dismiss him and recruit another person? Or you would withstand the differences with him, your mansion is complete, then you can go and hire another person you want.
That's if his contract with me still stands. But if his contract with me has a timeline, and the timeline says that this gentleman has to bring all this to a halt, I will be left with no option but to respect the terms in the contract.
You see what we're talking about here? We are talking about Bank of Uganda. This is not an ordinary issue. And why I support the speaker is because the problem to the Bank of Uganda is almost to the end. Okay? Using another team to come into and replace this one either means would jeopardize the investigations and the successes that have been registered so far. I absolutely have no problem with the Katundu committee going on because it is just a matter of about a month from now. They complete the investigations, the report which will be presented to Parliament, and the other group can take over.
Okay, before let me give an opportunity. I open the lines for you to join the conversation. We are talking about the move by the Speaker of Parliament to extend the term of the leadership of the COSASE Committee. You can call us and air your opinion on 0752 912 912. The number to call to join the conversation is 0752 912 912. John, let's pick the call and then you. Good morning, Cruise FM. Yes, what's your name and where are you calling from? Okay, Simon, let's hear your question or comments. Okay, thank you so much. I think you've been very clear. You can also have the opportunity of joining the conversation. We are talking about the extension of the leadership of the COSASE Committee. We earlier also discussed the presidential address for the year 2019. Good morning, Cruise FM. Hello, what's your name and where are you calling from? Yes, please. Let's hear your question or comment. Thank you. I think you've been very clear. 0752912912 is the number to call. 0752912912. Good morning, Cruise FM. Yes, hello. Yes, Ernest, speak louder. Yes. Okay. Thank you. John.
You see,
I think you've heard what the listeners are saying.
You are
divided.
you are an economist, Banaji.
Yes, I am.
There is a human resource policy at Bank of Uganda, whereby every staff, especially senior staff at Bank of Uganda, you don't qualify to work at Bank of Uganda unless you have a first class. We are talking about such an institution. Now, here is my friend Mubaraka Munyagwa, who is still a student. I have no problem with him. But who we saw last year going to Rurekyera prison because of 100 million. We are talking about this investigation that has 7 banks whose total asset that was allegedly misplaced because of the closing is over 3 trillion. Global Trust Bank alone, you saw the Nigerians claiming 350 in compensation. 350 billion. Here is a fellow who was in a land grabbing saga of a piece of land worth 100 million.
No, I don't want us to talk about
what this is. There is nothing an individual. I'm talking about the MOP. I'm not talking about the individual.
But are you saying that is what informed the decision?
I'm very good. I'm saying
that is the argument. Then he does not deserve any leadership in this country.
No, let me tell you.
Because it's all the same.
Very good. Now let me tell you.
He has to be accountable.
Rurekyera asked me a good point. Rurekyera said, could that be a reason why the speaker reacted? I personally think, my opinion is.
So this is not about continuity.
To me, I see that maybe the speaker seemed to understand that here is, yes, he's my member of parliament, he's my staff. But this is a man, because let me tell you, there are certain positions, even in this cabinet of ours, there are people who have those positions not just because they deserve them, but because some proper people who are supposed to be in those positions were vetted out simply because of such small mistakes. You are saying, no, that's not an issue. It is an issue, my friend. Why do you think my friend Major General Kahindo Tafire remained in the cabinet even after losing the election? He's a member of SECH, just like Major General Jim Mwezi is. He's also a member of SECH. He's also a Major General. He also lost an election. He was also in the bush. He was also a minister. In 2016, was Minister of ICT. Yes. Why do you think Jim Mwezi was out of cabinet and the same grounds did not favor the same grounds favored Kahindo Tafire? There must have been a reason. That's what I'm telling you. I may not be at liberty to talk about the reason here, but I'm saying there's these things you are calling small. There was a reason why a friend of mine, the honorable MP for, is it Rwanda, who the 5 million person, Kabafonzachi, who was dropped from his docket for 5 million, and are you saying there are no members of parliament that we know that could have been bribed for over 20 million? Now, but this is a person, 5 million, and you're out of, and you can't say, but is that a reason? Yes, it is a reason. So, for someone to be in Rurekyera, you are a member of parliament, to be in Rurekyera for 8 days, for 100 million, which is a 4-month salary, and you are in prison for 8 days, and 12 months down the road, you are to pretend over a committee probing 8 trillion Uganda shillings, Bank of Uganda, it would be very, very silly for an institution like Parliament to allow that. To me, I think it is in favor of the image of this institution that, and there is a nasty talk. Some people are saying, you see, the speaker is lining up someone for the governorship, which I don't dismiss. But anyway, let us agree that maybe the speaker is supporting the Prime Minister of Soka Kingdom for the Dr. Is it Wavara? I don't know his name. Muvawala. Yes, is executive director, National Planning Authority. I would not have a problem with that. But now, here you have a Mutevere who is aged and whose contract may not be renewed because after the proposal by President, it is renewed by Parliament's Appointments Committee, which is chaired by the Speaker. But you have also the Deputy Governor who is as well being threatened by this committee. Now, what do you have to do?
Okay, John, I want you to conclude on
who, and remember the Deputy Governor is related to Munyagwa.
The FDC seems to have something in mind. They think Katuntu is either compromised or on the verge of compromise, or they do not seem to trust his capabilities as far as delivering the true and honest report as far as the investigation is concerned.
He's no longer with them, is in new formation.
No, John, our time is fast spent.
First of all, let me first say that John's statements remind me what Minister Bariomuns at one point said on the show. He told the country that some opposition members of parliament, some opposition leaders, they make noise during the day and they go to State House to get money at night. While he successfully exposed them, he in a way also informed us that his government, he serves people at night.
Yes.
When John says that the speaker is doing this because he does not trust Munyagwa, he's in a way telling us that the speaker who actually holds the party card for NRM is biased.
Of course.
That's what John is actually communicating.
Yes.
And if that
Munyagwa who is on point blank and whatever.
Time is out.
Give me time, I finish this.
For
me, from the point of view of having this work done and completed in time, that's where I really support the speaker.
Okay.
I don't support the idea that the speaker does not believe in Munyagwa and so he should not serve. Are you saying Munyagwa will never become the chair of this committee even after the probe has been concluded? I don't really agree with that.
We shall not give it big business. We shall give it chicken business to handle.
Thank you, John and Geoffrey. We are going to meet next Saturday for the big seat.
Katogoro kasirira ne katokota. And you is chairman. Sharing the probe in the back of the garden.
Good morning.
This is